Noong nalaman nila na may psoriasis ako, sabi nila, galis yan.
Sabi nila baka nanunuraw ako. Kakalaro ko sa labas ng bahay.
Sabi nila, baka may nakain lang daw ako na hindi maganda.
Sabi nila, sa hangin daw ito nakukuha. Mawawala rin daw to.
Sabi nila, gamitin mo ito. Magsabon ka nito. Uminom ka nito. Gagaling ka.
Sabi nila, mag-sweater na lang daw ako para walang makakita.
Sabi nila, lumayo ako. Baka nakakahawa yung balat ko.
Sabi nila, hanggang dito na lang kami.
Sabi nila, wala raw akong kasama sa labang ito. Sabi ko, nandyan kayo. Panahon na para maitama lahat ng sabi-sabi mo. Kami naman ang pakinggan niyo.
Alright, hello everyone. Hi Coach Peachy.
Hi, Joms.
Hello to our weekenders. How are you?
Yes, first week na Burr months na ang bilis, di ba?
Kaya nga
Yes, and
Ano ba,
ba siya?
Merry Christmas na ba? Parang naririnig ko na yung kalembang sa background natin.
Yes, oo. Nagpakita na si GMC. Si Jose Maricha. Di ba sa mga
Natatawa nga ako, di ba? Ang daming memes na ginagapos siya, tapos kinukulong sa cabinet.
Yung iba yung parang paunti-unti siyang lumalabas dun sa picture.
Yung magpipikabo siya bigla, no? By the way, Coach Peachy, pakilala lang tayo. Ayun nga, di ba? Diyos ko, ito na naman, bumabalik. Ang isa sa pinakamakulit pero mabait na coach. I am Coach Joms.
Yes, and I am Coach Peachy, and we are your hosts for tonight. Ayan, unang salang for the month of September. Ayan, Burr months na Burr months. And welcome, of course, to Wellness Weekends Philippines.
Ayan. Sabay tayo First time yan.
Nagtugma.
Correct.
Diba? Kamusta naman po kayong lahat? I hope you are all safe and dry. Ayan, dahil medyo maulan. Ayan, for the past few days. Ayan. Kamusta ka naman, Coach Joms?
Grabe, napapasayaw ako. Napapasayaw ako sa background
Medyo
ni
cozy
Derek.
kasi yung yung background music.
Oo, ang sarap. Medyo nakaka-jive siya. At actually, speaking of jive, feeling ko makaka-jive din talaga ako sa topic natin ngayon eh. Ang ganda ng topic ngayon. Me as a parent, talagang, I think, talagang very relatable tong topic sa akin.
Yes.
Diba?
Sa akin
Coach
naman,
Peachy.
though wala pa naman akong anak, pero yung parang relationship ko with my mom on how we handled my condition. Ayan. So, yung support system. Ayan. Which is very important sa atin. Dahil doon tayo kumukuha ng ng strength, ng support. Ayan, yung ating support system. Ayan.
Totoo yun. Totoo yung Coach Peachy, di ba? Yung parent, yung mom mo, di ba? Definitely, primary concern yan always is your well-being. Totoo naman ako. I mean, with my Tres Marias, laging, di ba, their health, their well-being talagang, lalo lang yung mga parents with children na may psoriasis. So,
lalo na only child ako. So parang iniisip nila paano na lang pag yung alam mo yun, yung matanda na, who will take care of you, yung mga ganong thinking. Ayan. Syempre, di ba tama ba sa parang no matter daw kung gaano ka katanda sa mata ng parents, ikaw yung baby nila. Parang you will forever
totoo yun.
Be their baby. Ayan. Di ba? Kahit ako, di ba,
alam mo ba, Coach
mag-35 na ako eh.
Diyos ko, Coach Peachy, nakakatuwa lang, no? I-start ng Burmats natin, pasabog na agad. Kasi alam mo ba, we have 1,028 live viewers right now.
Yes,
so,
thank
we have
you
live
so
viewers.
much. Keep on coming. Ayan.
Yes, keep on coming, guys. And sa mga live viewers natin dyan, all over the other platform natin, na WWP page, syempre.
PsorPhil page.
Yung PsorPhil page natin, and of course, the YouTube page natin. So that's
yes.
actually the total.
Mamili lang po kayo doon, or kung gusto nyo yung tatlong yun, tuloy-tuloy, sabay-sabay nyo i-play.
Correct. Kaya yung bawat isang tao ngayon, parang lahat, more than one cellphone na ata, dalawang cellphone lagi.
Oo, diba? Ayan. Saka, informative and interesting kasi yung topic natin. Tapos lalo na yung guests pa natin tonight, for sure, madami tayong makukuhang takeaways ulit.
Tama.
Okay.
By
So,
the way,
pang ilang episode na po ba natin tonight?
Ayun nga, Coach. I think it's the 7th episode na. Ng,
Sorry,
Wellness
medyo
Weekends
matagal
Philippines.
tayong matagal po akong nawala. Return of the comeback.
Coach,
tayo.
hindi ka nag-iisa. Parehas tayo. Parehas tayong comeback.
Yes. So, it is our 7th episode po. Ayan, for Wellness Weekends Philippines. Ayan. So, ano bang parang pinakaganap natin for the past few weeks ba or for the past few months? Ayan. So, by the way, yung po natin pala, yung ating hashtag is Psoriasis in Children, hashtag WWP, Childhood Psoriasis. Ayan. But Coach, wait, how old were you or how young were you when you had your psoriasis?
Actually, I had the psoriasis. Medyo thunders na tayo after I got married. Na-stress yung lolo mo. After I got married.
Ibang stress ang na-feel, masyadong na-trigger.
Oo, na-trigger. Hindi, pero open book ako. Alam mo naman, na-share ko na yan. Overshared na nga yan eh. Pero ayun, it started, 27 years old ako na nagkaroon.
Sa akin din medyo adult na tayo. Sa akin ako sa'yo after marriage, after the wedding yung mga ganun. Sa akin naman during my thesis.
Before the wedding sa'yo.
During my thesis, medyo nagma-manifest na siya pero parang official siyang na-diagnose or official siyang nag-hello world a week after nung graduation ko. So, hindi agad ako nakapag-work. Ayan. Kasi sabay, nag-combo sila ni Sor A ko eh. Ayan. So, hindi tayo makasakay sa jeep. Ganyan. Medyo hirap tayo sa mga ganon. Kaya nagpahinga ako for a year. Ayan.
Mahirap yun ha. Lalo lang, estudyante ka at that time. Grabe yung peer pressure niyan, definitely.
Yes, kasi at that time, syempre yung mga kabatch mo, parang ang sikahan na nila nun. Uy, saan ka nag-interview? Yung mga ganyan. Eh, ako
Saan
nasa
yung
bahay.
gimmick?
Oo, syempre ako nasa bahay lang. Tapos, ang course ko noon, food technology. So, iniisip ko na, tatanggapin ba ako ng isang food company na makikita nila yung skin
Ay,
condition
ako
ko.
tatanggapin kita, Coach Peachy, kung ako.
So, yun yung
Feeling
mga
ko,
fears ko or concerns
tatanggapin
ko
kita.
before. Ayan. So, kaya hindi ako agad pumasok for work. Ayan. Parang,
Coach Peachy, di mo ko
total
tatanungin
rest
bakit kita tatanggapin.
Ay, sige po, tatanungin. Why?
Hindi. Kasi, but anyway, Coach Peachy, alam naman natin, di ba, na itong Wellness Weekends Philippines, talaga nagbibigay informative information, helpful information sa atin. So, just a recap lang, di ba? Paano ba tayo? I mean, nag-start from the weekends with the PsorPhil, tapos naging Wellness Weekends Philippines.
Yan. Meron ka bang history dyan? Pero, di ba, last month, if I am not mistaken po, kaka-celebrate lang po natin ng 17th anniversary. Ayan. PsorPhil 17th anniversary last month.
Ayun. Do you want to share, Coach? Very short share lang ng, paano ka ba nag-start sa PsorPhil?
Actually, lang yun. Paano ba ako nag-start? Yung sa PsorPhil, nakita ko lang siya sa Facebook. Tapos nag-sign up lang ako. Pero yung maging part nung sa Psor Coach, nung nag-part kasi ako ng parang club dun sa hospital kung saan ako nagpapa-derma. So parang dun na-open sa akin kung gusto kong sumama for Psor Coach. Tapos nung nagte-training ako for Psor Coach, si Sir Joseph, parang nagtanong siya na, uy, gusto mo bang mag-join? Siyempre, hindi ba tayo kay Sir Joseph? So yes lang, yes sa kanya. And the rest, yun nga sinasabi
is history na.
Yes. Opo.
Wow.
Yun yung quick summary ng ating timeline.
Naku, ako,
Sa
Coach,
inyo
huwag mo
naman
nang pagkwentuhin.
So matagal-tagal po kasi sa inyo eh.
Oo. Sumali kasi ako during the O10. The 10th year anniversary lang. That was 2015, I believe. So, 7 years na rin ako sa Psoriasis Philippines, and I can say I was able to achieve a change of heart. Wow. Achieve a change of heart. Pero, well, maybe because of the people na nag-welcome sa akin dito. Ayan, sila Sir Joseph, si Kuya Pong. Ayan, yung direct natin, si Coach Joms, kabatch ko yan. And, si pa ba? Yung pillars natin, sila Ate Marge, sila Ate Carol, sila Ate Liza, diba? Sila Ate Milu, ayan. And sa mga di ko na mention, si Coach Philip, ayan, siya talaga yung dahilan. So bakit ako napasok sa PsorPhil, yun. So they actually cloaked me with kindness, generosity, tapos ano pa ba? Ang dami.
Feel at home ka kagad, diba?
Feel at home ka.
Diba?
That's true. That's true. They are my second home. They're really my
Kahit
second home.
Kahit usapang lotion lang, parang umaabot kayo ng 1 hour. Diba?
Correct.
Mga usapang moisturizer, yung mga ganyan. By the way, regards, ayan, hello po, Doc, ang aking derma nanonood. Si Dr. Alexis. Ayan. So sa mga viewers natin, if they want to share kung kailan nag-manifest yung psori nila, pwede nilang i-share, or ano ba yung mga symptoms, yung mga ganong sharing. Ayan, so share nyo.
Speaking of sharing, Coach, baka naman pwede nating makita yung mga comments natin, mga nagaganda at nagwagwapo ang mga viewers ngayon.
I can see na flash siya. So, ayan, sorry, hindi namin mabasa lahat. Ayan. Pero, definitely, nakikita po namin siya. Ayan. So, comment lang po kayo. So, we'll try to accommodate and read them. Pero, yung iba na flash naman po siya ni Direct.
By the way, Coach Peachy, let me just again remind our viewers, lalong-lalo na sa mga kahahabol lang. So again, our topic tonight is Psoriasis in Children. Alright? And our official hashtag, that is WWP Childhood Psoriasis. Ayan.
Yes, ayan. So, I think it's time na for you to introduce po ang ating guest coach. Ayan. Para
So mamaya na lang siguro natin basahin.
Oo, maganda kasi yung topic. So para maaga tayong mag-start, madami tayong matanong.
Correct. Napaka-interesting. Napakahaba nitong talakayan nito. Kaya simulan na talaga natin. So, pasensya na sa mga hindi namin na-flash. Pero mamaya po i-flash namin yung mga comments nyo po. Ayan. So, let me just introduce, of course, our guest. Ito, isa sa mga talaga natin, paborito nating guest to. Kasi ilang beses natin, suki na nga natin to actually. At isa ako sa mga naging, actually, first host ng naging guest natin to. And ito ay, siya ay graduate of Davao Medical School Foundation, dermatology residency training in Southern Philippines Medical Center, a fellowship training in dermatopathology, immunodermatology, and molecular dermatology in NYC, London in Taiwan. Nabubulol ako, pasensya na. A diplomat and fellow of Philippine Dermatological Society, a fellow Dermapathology Society of the Philippines under PDS, a member of PDS Immunodermatology Subspecialty Core Group, a medical specialist, Southern Philippines Medical Center, an editor-in-chief in JPDS, and lastly, a member of editorial board of Australasian Journal of Dermatology. Apologies for that. Let's give it up for Dr. Bryan Guevara.
Ayan.
Hello everyone. Good evening. Maayong gabi sa tanan. Hello.
Hi,
Maayong gabi po, Doc.
Hello, Coach Peachy, and hello, Coach Joms. Good evening sa inyo. Good to be back here with you, especially with our class.
Nako, marami na namang kikiligin dahil andito si Doc Bryan.
Ayan. So, introduce din natin na yung guest po natin na para mas more on makarelate tayo. And then, kasi diba si Doc po yung mag-explain dun sa technical and medical side. So, dito naman po sa guest natin, parang how they manage or how they cope up with having psoriasis po na bata yung nag-manifest siya in an early age. Ayan. So, una po muna ay si Mommy Normina. So, she is po a 47 years old. Siya po ang mother ng ating SOR patient or ka-SOR po natin na si Alexis. Isa po siyang housewife, the best job in the world at pinakamahirap at the same time. And meron din po siyang parang pastries or nagbe-bake din po siya, which is yung Taste of 4A. And then of course, yung atin pong SOR, yung kanyang baby, si Alexis Mark naman po. So 21 years old na po siya, but he had psoriasis po when he was only 7 years old. Ayan, so na po siya, graduate na po siya ngayon. Pag-graduate pa lang siya, Bachelor of Secondary Education major in English. Member naman po siya ng UST PsorPhil. Go, Uste! Ayan, so
yes.
Let us all welcome si Mommy Normina and si Alexis Bernardo. Ayan.
Hello everyone!
Ayan. Merry Christmas!
Hello po. Merry Christmas!
Handa na yung Christmas tree nila. Diba?
Correct.
Parang
good evening.
Pagkaano pa lang ng 12 midnight. I love it. Kailangan ganyan yung i-practice natin para matagal yung exposure ng mga Christmas decor. Yes. Ayan. So, kumusta naman po? Ayan. So, since maulan na sa bahay lang po tayo, kumusta naman po?
We're okay, of course, safe and sound here in our humble house. And of course, my mom. Super stress sa pag-aaral po.
Ay, naku pa, walang stress.
Yes po.
Kaya, yeah. Ay, dyan na-trigger yung sore ko yun nung graduating ako. Ayan.
Yes.
Kayo naman po,
Nag-i-school pa ngayon si Alexis?
Yes
yes,
po.
so,
4th year po, graduating.
Nice, nice.
ang ating
So,
future, tama po ba teacher?
Yes po. Secondary.
Yes. Nice.
So, hybrid na ngayon, tama ba? Kayo ngayon? Or
Yes po.
online or full face-to-face na?
Actually po, yung mga minor subject po namin is we conducted it in through meeting po, and of course, yung mga ano po namin, like for example, field study, yung mga major subject po namin, ini-held po namin siya as face-to-face classes.
And the rest, online na lang?
Yes po.
Okay, nice. Si Ma'am Normina, how are you po? Kumusta po?
Okay po. Okay lang po.
Ayan. Okay. So, start na po ba tayo, Coach?
Oo, si Doc Bryan, ayan, I think he prepared something very important for all of us regarding our topic, Doc Bryan.
Sure, yeah, so
whenever you're ready po.
Okay, so good to see Mommy Normina and of course Alex here. Very exciting to discuss everything about pediatric psoriasis. So just to start our lively discussion, some technical medical side muna, then we can be relaxed later on with the Q&A, and practically we're gonna share our experiences together bilang isang pasyente na may psoriasis. And like what Coach Joms is very excited kasi syempre as a parent, no, individual parents here with psoriasis, syempre takot din about the risk with their kids in the future. Right? So let me just share my screen. Yan yung uso ngayon eh. Share my screen, no, in terms of
sharing,
our
sharing.
Yeah, share, and of course, if you can see my slides, thumbs up tayo dyan. Okay? Can you see my slide, Coach Jom and Coach Peachy?
Yes, it's clear
Yes
po.
Ayun. So, basic lang. Don't worry. Wala na tayong quiz later. Walang exam.
Yan ang maganda.
Okay. So, pakita ko lang kung how our patients with, of course, living with psoriasis will be affected, especially yung mga bata naman. Okay? So, alam natin na psoriasis, it can affect everyone. Okay? So, newborn, kids, teenagers, adult, and even the older population. So, ang pediatric psoriasis, hindi siya naiiba in terms of immunopathogenesis or yung bakit nagkakaroon ng psoriasis sa adults or bata. More or less, it's basically the same. So, ang sinasabi ng mga dermatologists nyo or yung inyong mga doctors, it's a chronic inflammatory skin condition. Ibig sabihin, there's no cure, sadly. But there are treatment options na pwede maibigay para to control the inflammation deep inside our skin. So, ibig sabihin nitong hyperproliferation, mabilis tayo mag-shed ng skin. As a kabalat, you know that you have thick plaques or scaly lesions kasi ang shedding, it's every 24 hours instead of parang every month for a normal individual. So indeed, it's quite common, 1 to 3% of the world's population, and around an estimate in the Philippines, probably it's around 1 to 2 million. But it could be an underestimate. There could be more patients with psoriasis in the Philippines. So genetic stimuli, for example, in a certain population, yung mga pasyente natin na nagkaroon ng sore throat, streptococcal throat infection, yun na magiging trigger paminsan. Sabi ni Coach Peachy, bawal ma-stress kasi syempre it could trigger also the changes within our body. So kaya nagkakaroon ng hyperactivation ng inflammation sa loob ng ating balat. Whenever these are activated, yung mga immune system, they will secrete signals to the skin that will lead to hyperproliferation. Ibig sabihin, mas mabilis na yung proliferation or yung pagdami ng skin cells. At yan na yung psoriatic skin lesions natin. So what about yung mga pediatric psoriasis? So it's the minority, no? So usually 0.5 to 2% of the population with psoriasis are nasa pediatric age group or less than 8 18 years old. But anong importante dito? Kasi 40% ng mga pasyenteng may psoriasis nagkaroon na pala ng simptomas before 16 years old pa. It could be misdiagnosed or probably it's so mild na hindi na napakialam ng mga pasyente before. And a minority, 10%, even got it before 10 years old. It could be an infant, akala natin diaper rash lang, akala natin atopic dermatitis, akala natin seborrheic dermatitis, and so on. In terms of pediatric psoriasis, around 7 to 11 years old yung mean diagnosis for those. Mostly mga babae na diagnose with pediatric psoriasis. And of course, genetics will be a main factor also for the early onset of psoriasis, which we can discuss later on. So according sa Health Information System ng Philippine Dermatological Society, from year 2020, you can see here, 2011, sorry, to 2018, around less than 1% lang yung cumulative cases of pediatric psoriasis na nadadiagnose sa training institutions in the Philippines. So alam natin yun, nasa Manila, you have a lot of institutions, and here naman in Davao, Southern Philippines Medical Center. So ano yung clinical features ng mga pasyente na may psoriasis na bata, no? So majority pa rin yung typical plaque or psoriasis vulgaris or yung plaque type psoriasis. Certain population will have guttate psoriasis. Ito common rin naririnig natin ito. Ano tong guttate? Imagine mo parang may raindrop pattern doon sa katawan nila. So whenever you walk out, kasi sabi nyo, maulan-ulan siya sa Manila. Kunyari, nag-wear kayo ng ito, like green shirt. If you go out sa ulan, may mga droplets sa skin mo or sa iyong shirt. Yun yung guttate pattern. Inverse psoriasis, kunwari sa kilikili, sa mga singit-singitan. Scalp psoriasis, kala natin paminsan dandruff. Pustular psoriasis, may nana. And yung pinakamalala, no, sa tingin ko, erythrodermic kasi halos buong katawan na involved. In terms of features, ito yung mga itsura niya. So majority pa rin plaque type ang nakikita natin sa mga kids or mga bata. Guttate, yung sinabi ko, kunwari na ulanan kayo, nakikita nyo yung mga small coin-shaped lesions. You have your pustular, sometimes your inverse or sometimes diaper rash-like na psoriatic lesions. And importante rin yung nail manifestations, nakikita rin sa mga bata. Sometimes it can be misdiagnosed. Bakit? Kasi may mga kamukha rin itong mga psoriasis natin, such as fungal infection or tinea corporis. Especially ngayon, monsoon season, no? Nauulanan, and may risk talaga for fungal infection. Pityriasis rosea, lalo na ngayon, may mga COVID vaccine reactions, nakikita rin natin ito, PR or pityriasis rosea. Sometimes yung AGEP, tinatawag natin, acute generalized exanthematous pustulosis because of the medications or side effects ng mga gamot, sometimes candidiasis, and mga fungal infections of the nails. Ang importante dito, whenever you have skin lesions, example, not only for psoriasis, but only other cases in the skin, you have to go to a board-certified dermatologist na PDS or Philippine Dermatological Society. So ano bang approach namin mga dermatologists when we see patients with psoriasis? We want to identify especially location kasi in terms of diagnosing, very important yung clues in terms of saan ba nakikita yung mga rashes ng pasyente natin. For example, common locations of psoriasis nasa scalp, singit, pwede rin also sa mga flexural areas and extensor areas, such as in these examples. Ano na naman ang importante also in terms of assessing patients? Of course, severity. Gaano ba kalala? We have our PASI scoring. We will compute this in terms of gaano ba ka-mild, moderate, or severe yung condition ng aming mga pasyente. Kasi it will affect how we manage our patients. Alright? Ibig sabihin, anong gamot ang pwede namin mabigay sa aming mga pasyente. If it's mild ba, if it's moderate, ito ang gamot. And if it's severe, ito naman ang gamot namin. And we wanna ask also, anong klase ba ang approach natin in terms of the quality of life. Yung mga pasyente kahit mild but severely affected na sila. In fact, in terms of comparing ang mga pasyenteng with psoriasis, compare natin sa mga ibang sakit, napakalala din ang quality of life ng mga pasyenteng may psoriasis. Low talaga ang score nila. And a lot of our patients, of course, nakakaroon ng stigmatization. 90% yan. More than 50% nakakaroon ng psychiatric symptoms, depression, anxiety, and of course, yung self-confidence from their disease, napakababa as well. So kaya kailangan natin, we have to be really empathic for our patients, especially those who are living with psoriasis. Okay? And I think anong importante pa to assess our patients is of course the involvement of arthritis. Even though bata pa mga pasyente natin, there is still a chance na nagkakaroon ng psoriatic arthritis, especially those with family history of psoriasis, psoriatic arthritis, nail manifestations, and involvement also of the scalp. Yun yung mga clues namin mga derma in terms of how we catch psoriatic arthritis naman. Kasi 6% of mga arthritis sa mga bata could be classified as a psoriatic arthritis. And we have to be very cautious, especially that these can lead to permanent damage and ayaw natin magkakaroon ng damage na permanent sa ating mga pasyente with psoriasis. So treatment options. So that's why we have the different classifications. So for us dermatologists, we are going to give you different treatments depending on the need. You can be started off with topical treatments. No? You can have your steroids, vitamin D analogs. You have also phototherapy. You have also systemic treatment. And nowadays, we have biologics as well. So just a warning sa mga pasyente natin or kamalat dyan kasi we always encounter patients na nagsa-self-medicate. This is one of the problems with patients self-medicating not only themselves but also the kids, no? So, nagdo-doktor-doktoran tayo, mga mommies, daddies, and sometimes mga titas. So, this patient actually was given a strong steroid cream, no? Cream lang siya, pero nagkaroon ng overdose. Kasi ang balat natin na-absorb din ng steroid, no? So, sometimes kasi we call this a iatrogenic Cushing's disease. So, it means na na-absorb yung steroid sa katawan at nagkakaroon ng complications. So for this patient, binigyan ng 3 times a day na ointment for 10 weeks. And eventually, nagkaroon ng 50 grams total of the medication. And yes, nagkaroon ng Cushing syndrome. Nangyari dito is, you can see, lumobo yung muka, you have your moon facies, yung mukha niya, mukhang moon, no? Sometimes very thin skin. And yun, complications, of course, infections, sepsis, and because the cortisol was so high, the patient died because of electrolyte imbalance, shut down na yung blood pressure, and so on. And this is, I think, my last slide, which entails na the importance of seeking help doon sa mga professional. Like, for example, if you have a concern for the skin, psoriasis, bata man o matanda, you go to your PDS dermatologist. Yun lang naman. And we can discuss naman, quiz na tayo, Coach Jom, no? Tama ba? May coach na. Exam ba? Wala.
Buti na lang nag-take note ako.
Ayan.
So yeah,
Siguro,
hopefully natutunan natin dito ang importance ng different types of psoriasis and also the risk of having the self, yung alam mo yung practice natin as a Filipino, no, we can take for granted kasi we can buy anything online sa mga pharmacies. They're not very strict at it. And yun ang nakakatakot. And self-medication talaga is something that we are very aware, and hopefully we can change, no, how we think about the medications na ina-apply natin sa ating mga skin.
Yes, ayan.
Doc
Yung
Bryan,
iba po kasi, di ba? Ay, sorry. Yung iba kasi, di ba? Ay, ano lang yan, fungal lang yan. Ito, ginamit ko to, ganyan. Di ba, mahilig tayo sa ganun, yung makikinig tayo sa mga friends natin. Ayan. Yes.
Totoo. But anyway, actually, Coach Peachy, wala, gusto ko lang magpasalamat kay Doc Bryan as always. Sorry. As always, 'di ba? Kahit very short discussion, talagang cover na niya lahat. Halos lahat, the severity, the lifestyle, the types. Pero this time, we may ask you medyo in-depth questions para mas lalong matutunan po ng... Definitely, there are a lot of questions from the viewers and sa guest natin ngayon. So, Doc Bryan, thank you so much for that very helpful information tsaka sa slide niyo po. So, Coach Peachy, grabe yung last slide. Just ko, very heartbreaking. Hindi ko kinaya yung picture ng bata. Kaya very important talaga na lagi tayong lalapit sa doctor. And do not, please, again, let me just reiterate, do not self-medicate. Kasi you're just putting your child at risk.
Yan ang ating advocacy.
Tama.
Siguro first question, siguro kay Alexis muna. Based dun sa presentation or explanation ni Doc, when you were 7 years old, naalala mo ba kung ano yung, let's say, ano ba yung parang unang nag-manifest sa'yo? Or parang natatandaan mo ba siya? Or parang kay mommy naman po, paano mo na-explain kay Alexis at that time kung ano yung kondisyon niya and all? Ayun.
Actually po, we don't have totally idea po kung ano po yung like lumalabas sa skin ko. Actually, nag-start po siya, I think it's pediatric psoriasis, 0.5. Ayun, nag-glutes talaga. Dito po siya lumalabas sa mga anit po natin. Yun po. So, parang kala po namin like an lang po siya or like yung
buong araw.
Buong araw. Yes, tapos pumunta na po kami sa mga derma, iba't ibang...
Sa pedya po muna. Tapos binigyan siya ng mga sabon, tapos ointment. Yung po pala, hindi niya, akala nila rashes lang. Tapos nag-ano po kami, second opinion, napunta po kami sa derma. Doon po namin nalaman na meron siyang psoriasis.
Ni-refer po kami sa USD po.
Tapos then ni-refer po kami sa USD.
So mami, nung time po ba nun, parang kailangan nyo pa po bang explain sa kanya? Kasi di ba po pag sa school, yung mga ganon, parang paano niya i-explain dun sa mga friends or sa mga classmates
Peer
na?
pressure, kumbaga, di ba?
Opo.
Ay, opo, nung pong, elementary, 7 years old kasi siya nagkaroon eh. Sinabi ko po dun sa mga kaklase niya na huwag niyong pandidirihan si Alexis kasi hindi yan nakakahawa. Saka hindi nila pwedeng si Alexis kasi lagi po akong nakabantay sa kanya.
Ay.
Yes.
Pati po yung teacher, sinabihan ko, yung teacher po yung nag-aasikaso sa kanya. Sa private school naman po sila nag-aral kasi, kaya po talagang mababait po yung mga po doon, student. Saka Christian school.
Nice.
Kaya mababait.
Mabuti naman at least wala siyang na-experience na anything awkward or anything na na-humiliate si
Lagi
si
po niya akong
Alexis.
Lagi po niya akong kasama sa school. Ayaw po nang merong sa kanya. Hindi po pwede.
Pero may na-encounter po kayo. May na-encounter po kayo, Ma'am Normina?
Opo, yung mga iba po na parang kala niyo po ayaw nilang makatabi si Alexis kasi si Alexis po, pag nagkamot talaga siya, isang
Naku, paradise ay heaven po kasi magkamot.
Ang uniform pa naman po nila sa long sleeve. Yung yung drum and dito po. Yun. Kaya po, sinasabi ko kagad sa mga makakasalamuhan niya na huwag niyong si Alexis.
Ayan. Okay. So siguro po kay Doc muna. Ayan. So siguro po Doc, paano po natin kasi 'di ba pag bata, common yung eczema or yung mga rashes, parang paano po ba natin mako-compare or ma-differentiate?
Madi-differentiate.
Oh.
Number one kasi at that age group, no, most common talaga for me, even in my practice, is the eczema or atopic dermatitis or skin asthma. So basically, ang important dito is the na-mention natin earlier, our location. No? Location-wise, it can give you the idea ano talaga ang sakit ng pasyente natin. History itself is very important, or history in terms of family history, past, for example, during newborn, childhood, kung may mga lesions na similar, for example, for typical pediatric psoriasis, pwede. No? Nails also, involvement ng nails, very common also for psoriasis. And in terms of differentiating it from eczema, I would agree na a lot of patients or pediatricians or even dermatologists will be having a difficulty in distinguishing it initially. Kasi age group-wise, napaka-common talaga ang atopic dermatitis or skin asthma. But there are certain clues that dermatologists will assess, di ba? So you have your typical location, you have your history, you have also the other features such as your nails, scalp involvement, etc. Sometimes we will resort to skin biopsies. So a lot of I'm sure everyone here will be aware also that sometimes nakaka-request tayo ng mga skin punch biopsy as a very helpful tool, diagnostic tool to help the clinicians to establish the diagnosis. Yun na naman. But I totally agree. Sometimes kasi hindi lang skin asthma ang kailangan natin to differentiate. Napakita ko kanina yung mga fungal infection, and sabi nga ni Alex earlier, akala nila bungang singot, no? Or yung bungang araw sa Bisaya pa is parang naiinitan na arawan, bungang singot tawag namin dyan, mapula-pula kasi yan. No? Sa Bisaya, sometimes caspa or dandruff. No? So yun ang mga common differential diagnosis natin for psoriasis. And that's why kailangan talaga, like I said, to consult your dermatologists.
Yan.
Alright, thank
So,
you.
derma lang po talaga ang certified dermatologist. Yes, ayan. So,
By the way,
medyo
Doc,
may technical problem lang po muna
oo.
sila. Oo,
Oo
so
nga,
kay
parang
Doc
may
po muna
technical
tayo.
ata.
Kasi, mabagyo.
Kapag yun, dito
Correct.
sa weather naman no problem here in Davao so far. Pero what's intriguing also, kanina na kwento ni Mami Normina, no? So, kasama siya lagi sa school, no? So, yung fear talaga in terms of bullying, especially as a parent, ayaw natin yung mga anak natin na mabubully because of skin condition. We have to make sure na well-educated din yung mga kasama natin in terms of that. Okay? So, akala kasi na marami mga tao or mga classmates or co-workers na we are infectious if we have psoriasis. Diba? Remember, psoriasis, hindi ito na nahahawa sa ibang tao. No? It's not an infection, parang COVID, no? Parang chickenpox or monkeypox. These are immunologic disorder. Ibig sabihin, it's a chronic inflammatory skin disorder. Di siya dahil sa infection. And I think yun lang naman, kasi syempre ayaw natin mabubuli ating mga kids. I think we need to educate. That's why we have this platform. Tama? WWP episode 7 na tayo because we want to educate more and more viewers, Filipino viewers especially, na hindi tayo nakakahawa. And we must encourage also doon before we have yung World Sword Day, we have your Hug Me campaign, and that's, I think, important. So I don't blame Mommy Normina, no? Kasi syempre she's very protective lang naman para kay Alex.
Yes. Ayan. Okay. Ayan, with siguro with Alexis, ayan, ano yung mga treatments na naalala mo or ginawa sa'yo when you were younger? Ay, naka-ano po ata?
Mute.
Naka-mute.
Okay. Mga can you hear me po?
Yes.
Sorry po,
Okay na
medyo unstable po yung network. Can you hear me? Thank you so much. Siguro po yung mga treatment ko po before is like, although sabi po ng derma ko is magpapawis, maglagay ng gamot, proper, pag, maglagay ng gamot, magpaaraw, kumain po ng mga healthy foods. So I think, yun naman po talaga yung mga common treatment. Pero minsan po kasi pasaway, makakain ng masarap, ganun po. Medyo natamad din po mag-exercise, ganun. So medyo hindi ko po masyadong na,
Okay lang yan, nakarelate
po.
ako.
Pero hindi naman po, andyan naman po si ma'am, nagpapaalala po sa amin na sa akin na gawin po kung ano yung dapat para sa ikabubuti ko, para sa psoriasis ko po.
Yes. So, kasi di ba parang ganitong age natin, minsan nakakatamad din talaga lalo na pag flare buong katawan, yung nakakatamad maglagay sa, di ba, lotion pa lang. Tapos meron ka pang isang layer pa ng pamahit. Ayun.
By the way, Doc, I've seen that we have a question from our audience, from PB Busta. So, Doc, question, I have psoriasis pero recently na-ER ako, may urticaria daw ako, and before I'm not allergic to garlic. Ngayon, I get hives when I get garlic. Is it because of psoriasis?
Okay. So it's a lot of patients now they keep on asking, Doc, is it associated with food? Generally speaking, it's not triggered by any food. Okay, there's gonna be no flare-ups or association that you could have hives because of food. Basically, what we are trying to explain to our patients, food, there is still a relationship with psoriasis because we want our patients to eat healthy, like sinabi ni Alexis kanina, no? So, lifestyle modification, I think, is the prime importance in terms of psoriasis. Kasi we don't want the other comorbidities, like, for example, obesity, hypertension, high sugar, that are compounding the problem with inflammation sa ating katawan. So going back to the question from PB Busta, there's no connection in terms of your current psoriasis, in terms of food leading to urticaria. So a lot of patients, acute urticaria, idiopathic, ibig sabihin, there's no known cause. But it could be triggered also by food, medication, infection, etc. So I would recommend if you see a dermatologist so that we work up sa urticaria mo, okay, or hives, okay? So these are very important conditions also, not necessarily related to psoriasis, but it could be life-threatening also in the future. Like, for example, anaphylaxis, no? Hindi ka nakakahinga because it's too much allergic reaction that can obstruct your airway. So yes, you have to consult your doctor. Thank you for the question from PB Busta.
Yes.
Yun.
So, I hope nasagot po ni Doc ang iyong question. Ayan.
Ayun. Ang ganda ng ang comment ni Neil Anthony Florentino. Kahit papaano ay marami ng tao na na-educate about our condition. Salamat sa kampanya for psoriasis awareness gaya nito. Ayun. Heart, heart, heart.
Thank you so much. That's the goal.
Yeah, that's really the goal. And allow me to share din, Doc. Actually, recent lang to. I mean, just last month, meron akong pamangkin. She's 4 years old. Nasa Bicol. Her name's Amara, if you're watching. Kasi forward ko rin yung link sa mother niya to watch and to learn from you po and from the experience of Alexis. Their struggle right now is, syempre bata, labas na labas sa bahay yan. I mean, exposed sa sun. Minsan, di ba po, Doc, overexposure ng sun, mas lalong na-aggravate or na-trigger yung nila. I mean, I know what to do. Pero maybe for the benefit of our viewers. I mean, ito yung mga stages kasi na talagang mahirap eh. Unlike Alexis right now na pwede mo na sabihin, magiging obedient na yan, susunod siya sa'yo. But how about this kind of kids na kahit anong educate mo, mahirap silang, alam mo po yun, mapasunod.
play is very important for their psychological well-being. No? So we don't want to inhibit naman their, of course, freedom to play outside with other kids, with their family. I think we need to be very important kasi we need to educate the parents especially. No? Play is okay, but too much sun exposure, for example, sunburn. Remember kipnerization? Yung kipnerization, ibig sabihin, pag there's burn, for example, or trauma to your skin, mag-flare up talaga yung psoriasis nyo. Similarly, also with phototherapy, whenever you are exposed too much with a phototherapy, nakakaroon ng burn, and that's gonna aggravate the condition. So for me, as a parent, I would allow the patient or your kid to play outside, of course, in a controlled setting or time frame. Okay, we want our patients to be safe always, especially it's still COVID. Okay, so huwag natin kalimutan, may COVID pa rin. So hopefully we can be very defensive as a parent lang din. So in a way that we can allow our patients to grow, they could play, and hopefully yun naman eh. I think it's more on discipline also and educating our parents na it's okay to play as long as wala namang too much exposure to the sun, like what you said. Sun could be a good thing also for our patients, but too much sun exposure will be bad also for our patients.
Thank you.
Doc,
Thank you so much.
question lang po. Ano po ba yung parang advisable na parang time na magbabad ka sa araw? Kasi 'di ba sabi nila iba na daw yung parang ano ng araw ngayon. So parang mas unti ka na lang parang kailangan na. 'Di ba dati parang 10 to 15 minutes ilalabas mo yung bata or yung baby, 'di ba pag morning, parang ngayon daw parang nilelesen na. So ano po ba yung parang advisable na parang gaano katagal? Yung parang gano'n.
Yeah, there's no hard and strict rule naman in terms of limiting the sun exposure to our patients because definitely per latitude, longitude, no? So yung equator, nasa may equator tayo, no? Pilipinas, very hot, okay? So probably the safest for our patients, especially young kids, they want to play outside before 8 o'clock. Then here, probably in the afternoon or later in the afternoon, after 4 o'clock. No? So these are the time frames na I think safer for our patients. Like for example, yung baby ko may walking around that time period din eh, because it's safe, no? Ang worry ko, for example, what about the beach? Sometimes lunchtime, nasa beach tayo. It's okay to go out to the sun or go to the beach at that time as long as you can protect your skin from the intense sun exposure by sunscreen, di ba? So you know the proper application naman ng sunscreen. Tayo with psoriasis, we have to use also sunscreen kasi syempre we don't want sunburn also from happening to our skin.
Follow-up question lang po sa sunscreen. Ano po ba nga, siguro yung sa mga girls, di ba? Ano po ba yung advisable na parang SPF? Di ba? Ngayon ang dami na kasing products.
Yeah,
di ba mga SPF 50, yung mga ganun po?
Yeah, so minimum requirement is just SPF 30. Okay? So yung SPF 100 million SPF, it's just for marketing purposes. Right? So based on different studies, SPF 30 is already enough to give you like protection against from the sun. But ang important dito is the frequency and how you applied it and the amount that you applied. Okay? So best rule also for this one is 30 minutes prior sun exposure. And for example, if you're sweaty, nasa beach ka, you have to reapply as often as you can. Yan siya. Okay? So as a minimum requirement for me, I always tell my patient SPF 30 is fine, no problem.
Coach Peachy, thank you for asking that. Kasi ako talaga pag Oo. Kasi ako pag pupunta kami ng beach kasama yung mga kids, wag yung 30, yung 80, gano'n.
Ano yung mas mataas?
I think what's important also,
mas mataas yun ang bibili natin.
I think it's okay also to have a higher SPF as long as you need to reapply also. And if you go to the beach, for example, magbabad ka, swimming pool, you have to get a sunscreen that is water resistant. Okay, so water resistant is also important. For example, if you're into beach or pool, etc.
Doc, speaking of beach, ito nga yung pamangkin ko, and even for others na pupunta sa beach, di ba, tawag nga natin dyan, Coach Peachy, is vitamin C. So, ano po ba yung proper way po talaga? I mean, sabi kasi nila, pag nagdadagat sila, mas lalong na-aggravate. Yung iba naman, After nun
Sa
parang
akin, hiyang
very
ako sa dagat.
soothing,
Oo.
very hiyang. Ako hiyang ako sa dagat.
Oo.
Pero hindi lang ako sobrang nagbababad masyado. Pero in a certain period of time.
Yeah, very good to also expose yourself from beach outdoors. It's good for us, not only for psoriasis patients, but also for any other condition. No? So what is important is just to limit your sun exposure, use sunscreen, and just avoid getting sunburned. Yun lang naman ang point ko sa mga patients. If you get the sunburn and you have psoriasis, you will have a flare-up, definitely. If you didn't get any sunburn, I'm sure you enjoy the sun moderately. I think that's gonna be okay for sure.
So,
Siguro
Doc,
kay
you were saying po na, sorry po. So you were saying po, Doc, na okay lang na bumabad sa dagat as long as not long exposure sa araw.
Yes, and you have the proper protection against the sun. Babad sa dagat, no problem. I wish we are in the beach right now.
Wow.
Yes.
Kara-kara.
Ayan. Siguro kay Alexis, saan ka mas hiyang sa beach ba or nag-react ka ba kapag yung cold weather, lalo na ngayon, 'di ba, medyo malamig, yung ganyan. So when you were younger ba nung bagong manifest pa lang si Sor, paano yung adjustment mo or yung parang na-explore, 'di ba sabi nila pag may sore ka daw, parang mas makikilala mo yung body mo kasi you have to observe kung saan ka nag-react yung skin mo. So nung sa'yo ba, saan ka nag-react?
Actually po, pag malamig po kasi, usually, yung skin ko po is like, gaspang or like, you know, hindi ko ma-explain. Parang, ano po siya parang, kailangan niyo po, masarap sa pakiramdam kapag meron siyang lotion or moisturizer, ganyan po. Para hindi siya ganun ka, parang feeling makapal, ganun po. And then, pag mainit naman po, usually, namumula ako, ganun, nag-irritate, nangangati. Kasi mainit nga po, ganun po. Tapos, siguro po, kung papipiliin po, kasi syempre tayo parang kapal yung balat, then parang siguro mas prepare ko po yung cold. Ganun.
So mas hiyang ka sa yung mga ganitong weather.
Yeah. Yes.
So season mo pala
weather.
to.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Bad weather season. Ayan.
Very
Coach
comfortable
Peachy,
po sa
alam mo,
feeling kapag malamig. Pag init po kasi, medyo irritating po, ganun po. Tas,
ayaw ba ng pawis or ng malagkit?
Parang mga anak ko ayaw sa pawis.
Yes po. Lalo na
Kaya
may
mabad sa
nakakairita sa feeling.
Mga laking aircon.
Gusto ko po yung feeling na like, very,
easy is life. But anyway, Coach Peachy, tulad ni Alexis, siyempre, we would like to protect the wellness of the children. Children, kahit 21 pa lang, bata pa rin naman talaga si Alexis. Siyempre, may guidance ng parents. And that's the reason why we are pushing our psoriasis bill na talagang dapat, we're knocking at the doors of the heart. Sa mga nakakapanood, nakakarinig nito, please do support our psoriasis bill. Anyway, Coach Peachy, ang ganda lang ng tanong dito. From Nawal Al-Azhar. Siguro basahin ko to. Not sure if it was tackled already here, but I think one of the more important that's really needs attention, how the cost of the very expensive medicines, biologics, nag-mention siya, through campaigns and legislation, government and the private sector should consider this as one of the primary focus of the effort in dealing with psoriasis and helping patients. Kim Kardashian, may pa-mention, can buy as many biologics as she wants without denting her budget. Pero yung walang pera, kawawa naman. Well, that's the sad reality. Everyone cannot really afford
village po talaga regarding sa biologics.
But of course, once na na-push itong psoriasis bill, mas mapapadali, mas affordable, mas abot natin. But in the meantime, medyo tiyaga lang muna tayo sa pagpila sa DSWD. Of course, they're also extending sa ating mga government who provide dito para mabigyan tayo ng what do you call that, support, what do you call that? Anong tawag sa support na gano'n? Sa financial support when it comes to financial support sa mga mahal na medicine natin like biologics.
Yes. Siguro po, Doc, pwede pong pahingi lang ng parang konting introduction lang po about biologics. Ano po ba yung biologics? Ayan. Kasi karaniwan po ito yung mga frequently asked questions.
Yeah, very good. In terms of biologics, everyone's aware that it could be really expensive, no? Napakamahal, but it is a form of a systemic or injection, okay? So remember, ang condition na psoriasis is a systemic inflammatory condition. Biologics, it's a monoclonal antibody that targets the inflammation. Imagine psoriasis is caused by a lot of inflammatory cells, no? Imagine mo sundalo 1 to 100 that are yung mga sundalo nyo, si sundalo 1 to 100 attacking our skin, attacking our joints, attacking our nails, etc. But the biologics, it targets not all the immune system, no? So hindi niya bobombahin yung sundalo 1 to 100. It's very particular, very specific siya. Parang may sniper tayo sa gamot. It targets only one specific interleukins. For example, interleukin number this, ganyan. Yun ang target niya, si sundalo 1 lang. Yung nagkaroon lang ng glitch sa system that causing psoriasis. So it's an injectable form of medication that precisely targets the wrong signal in terms of psoriasis. Ganun yung how I explain to my patients para maintindihan. I don't want to be too nerdy and very scientific about biologics, but the concept is there. It's like a precise way of targeting the inflammation sa katawan. Because we want our immune system to be functioning pa rin, no? To protect us from COVID, infection, etc. It's not all the immune system that targets our skin, our joints. Meron lang certain inflammatory cell ang nagkamali that triggers the inflammatory response. And that's what we want to target. And yes, I agree. Hopefully, the government will give the full support for our patients to experience biologics. No, so hopefully in the future, with the help of of course, our psoriasis bill, not only the government sector, but hopefully the private sector also will support that as well. Hopefully, like all of our patients will be needing or will be hopefully given the biologics treatment if they need it.
Siguro po, follow-up questions lang po dun sa biologic. Kasi di ba parang right now, biologic po yung latest na treatment for sore. So parang yung iba po kasi ang concern, di ba it's expensive. So paano po pag na-reach mo na yung, kunwari, yung sinasabi ng nag-guard, paano pag friends na sila ni sore, pinapapasok na niya yung chummies na sila, yung ganon. So paano po yung next na parang treatment or parang mababaliwala po ba yung parang biologics na yon, parang ganun, or parang kailangan nyo po bang magpalit ng biologics? Yung parang ganun po.
Yeah. So sometimes we have this what we call anti-drug antibodies. For example, yun yung term natin, nagiging immune na ako sa gamot dito because for so long I've been using this. Okay, Dr. Ais is here listening. She's one of our leaders.
Hi, Dr. Ais.
So basically, in terms of this, we can combine it with other systemic treatments. For example, methotrexate, even topicals you can combine, even phototherapy, even other immunosuppressives, the oral medication. Another thing is that you can shift to other biologics. Ngayon, we have new players in the market in the Philippines targeting specific interleukins that is for psoriasis. And all the data that they are providing us are really good. No? These are big and large clinical trials showing the efficacy of these biologics to patients with psoriasis. And that includes also for those who are resistant already. Like sinabi mo, naging kaibigan na sila with our psoriasis. But what's important here is that you do not limit yourself with one treatment alone. We have so many treatments nowadays, and that's the beauty of science and the technology nowadays because we have more and more, napakarami ng treatment option. And going back to the treatment option, I'm curious, anong mga gamot na nabigay kay Alex before?
Yes, ayan.
Well, actually po, before, parang more on ointment, more on lotion, para ma-relieve po yung pangangate, parang hindi siya ganun kagaspang, manipis lang siya. So, itong mga ano, parang may mga something na like, injection po. And parang, anong tawag dun sa parang mabubusin yung ano, yung immune system namin may mga sore. Pero po, hindi po muna ako nagano. Ano po naman, mga more on ointment, yan, lotion muna po para yung psoriasis ko po hindi siya ganun mag-trigger po. Especially po, I'm pursuing teacher na very stressful. So, yun po. Lagi po munang pahit muna po. And also taking vitamins din po para, malakas. Kasi po, parang feel ko po kasi triple or doble po pag nagkasakit po tayo, lalong mag-flare up yung psoriasis po natin. So, kailangan malakas yung immune system po natin. And also po, nagtitake din po ako ng fish oil para malambot yung balat.
So, Doc Bry, yung sa fish oil po, is it advisable? I mean, for everyone? Or kailangan po ba magtanong muna sa derma if the patient can take it po?
Yeah, so for fish oil, it's a supplement. So basically, it's not a form of treatment. It could help in functional dermatology. We are advising also patients to live healthily. No, for example, supplementation like vitamin C. You can have also supplementation with fish oil. I think that's okay, but do not think of a fish oil as a treatment option. It's just a supplementation. Okay? So hopefully ganun naman. And I don't want you to spend so much on supplementation kasi I understand, di ba, Mami Normina, it could be really expensive. A lot of supplements ngayon, branded or even local, are very expensive as well. So don't make it as a main treatment option for you. It's just a supplement. Kung meron, why not? Kung wala, it's okay, no harm, no problem.
And Doc, let me just highlight din. Tama yung sabi ni Doc, it's not really a treatment but a supplement kasi there are some talaga na nagiging dependable. And balik lang ako sa slide ni Doc, it's all boils down talaga sa lifestyle. So kahit na uminom ka nito but your lifestyle is different, wala kang discipline sa sarili mo at lalo lang matitrigger yan. And isa pa yun sa mga actually, target tayo. Tayo ay si Coach Peachy, ayan, si Alexis. Kapag naging dependable ka dyan sa mga type of supplement, lalo kang tatargetin ng mga marketers. Ang daming yung offer sa'yo. So, as much as possible, let's not always depend on the supplement. It's always your lifestyle.
That's correct. I agree.
Siguro po question kay Mami Normina yan. Kasi sa akin, nung nagkaroon ako, so si mother, parang mas naging conscious sa mga kinakain. Di ba yung mga junk foods, yung mga pansit, yung mga parang artificial na. No? So with Mami Normina, ano po yung parang lifestyle change or yung mga parang, affected po yung family o yung adjustment when parang officially na na-diagnose po ng psoriasis si Alexis. Like, konti na lang ba yung hotdog na kinakain? Yung mga ganun po.
Nung hindi po siya na-diagnose, halos lagi po kami nasa fast food. Eh nung nagkaroon po siya niyan, nag-ano po kami sa derma hanggang sa sinabi sa amin na bawal siyang kumain ng mga processed food.
Ayan yung processed
food. Bawal.
Hindi mo iniwan.
Sino? Nuggets.
Basta po, inaanuhan ko na po siya na wag na siyang laging kakain ng mga hotdog, yung mga junk foods,
crackers,
tapos lagi ko po siyang sinasabihan na wala pong soft drinks. Lagi ko po ngayon po siya sinasabihan na magprutas, sa kunting kanin lang.
Ay, parang tanungin po natin yung classmate ni Alexis. Joke lang.
Tapos po yung mga red meat, wag daw po yun. Yung po ba yun, Doc? Sabi po kasi sa amin dati, iwas ng konti sa red meat.
Well, for me, no, I don't want to be a hypocrite about, di ba, hindi tayo magiging hipokrito, iwasan talaga totally ang red meat. I think that the moral lesson here is moderation is still the key. Okay? You can still eat, for example, like red meat, but wag naman every day, wag naman 3 times a day. You can still eat like red meat if you want, but of course, in moderation. It goes also with, for example, for patients na gusto naman mag-fruits, sabi, always mag-fruits, but not all the time it's healthy for you. Remember, sobrang taas naman ng fructose or sugar niyan. So that's again, it's moderation. Not hindi ibig sabihin organic, that's totally good for you as well. So that's why it's very important na moderation naman lahat. And I agree with everyone here. At least we are aware that healthy lifestyle is important, is the key for having, especially diagnosed with psoriasis, no? Important talaga na magiging healthy yun. Sedentary na ang lifestyle, especially ng mga youth, no? So, especially online games, Zoom, technology nowadays, social media, we are now multi-generation, Western diet, Western lifestyle, and I think it's about time that for us to engage into yung old school era natin, like we go out and play, of course, yun naman exercises sa may form. And hopefully, that resonates also to all our viewers na important yung moderation. I'm not against red meat. Favorite ko yan, I must admit. So it's only in moderation will be really best for you as a patient or as an individual.
So, i-ano lang natin, i-highlight natin kasi laging mini-mention ni Doc yung moderation. So, feeling ko applicable naman yan sa lahat, hindi lang sa may mga psoriasis. Lahat ng sobra talaga bawal. So, hanggat maaari, if you can control things.
Pati sobra ba sa love life, Ma'am Peachy, no?
Ay, naku, mukhang Peachy left the group po. Mag-ilip po muna ako ng group.
Too much love
ako, baka doon po mag-flare yung psoriasis ko. Charot.
Ayan.
So, siguro po kay Alexis, when was your last flare? I mean, can you still remember po?
Ngayon po, actually, very, actually, natadaan ko lang po siya sa pagdadamit, siguro, sinasabi. Kaya hindi po ako mukhang ganun ka-stress. And then also, of course, yung mga I'm really thankful po sa family ko kasi really supporting sila. And of course, para yung hindi po ba ako mukhang ganun ka-miserable with my skin. Actually po, ngayon, stress. Before, speaking of healthy lifestyle, I'm really thankful po to my mom kasi po lagi po niya akong dinadala every time na may Zumba, ganun, exercise, ganun. Actually, naging Zumba king nga po ako nun before.
Ay, nice.
Hindi naman pala eh.
Kumakanta rin po ako. That's my hobby.
Sample na. Baka naman you can give us a very, kahit short line lang.
Ano bang kanta ng buhay mo today?
Oo. For today's video, ano bang kanta mo?
Alam niyo po ba yung Shamrock Alipin?
Oo, yan. Gusto namin yan. Gusto namin na alipin. Biro lang.
So, masali po yan si Alexis sa contest.
Ayan.
Mga konsero. Ay, pakinggan na natin yan. Sample na agad.
Okay po. Pwede pong a cappella lang po.
Go!
Okay lang. Okay po. Okay. Hindi ko man maamin, ikaw ay mahalaga sa akin. Hindi ko man maisip, sa pagtulog ikaw ang panaginip. Malabo man ang aking pag-iisip, sana'y pakinggan mo ang sigaw nitong damdamin. Ako'y alipin mo kahit hindi patid. Aminin ko minsan ako'y manhid. sana ay iyong naririnig. Sa iyong yakap ako'y nasasabik. Yun po.
Kumakanta rin po yan sa US.
Wow. Ba't ako kinilig? Kinilig ako.
WWP pa rin po ito, hindi po to Idol Philippines.
Yes,
Pero
po.
'di ba, nakakatulong 'yun sa sore natin, at least naaliw tayo.
Grabe, Coach Peachy, napakabilis ng oras, no? Pero thank you for sharing your experience, Alexis, Normina. And ako, I can say you have a bright future ahead of you. Definitely yung mga students mo matutuwa sa iyo. Kung 'di ba, kung kumakanta ka every lesson nyo, Diyos ko. Ewan ko na lang. Anyway.
Very participative po sila sa class. Talagang after class, pwede po nila akong marinig kumanta.
Pwede kang maging vocal coach, no?
Po, like, yes po. Pwede maging singing contest po. Yes po.
Doc Bryan, may we ask what are your tips lastly to our audience, lalong-lalo na for the parents na on how they can properly manage their children with psoriasis?
So, I think yung first tip ko for everyone is stay calm, no? So, don't panic in terms of, for example, na diagnosing anak nyo or family members nyo with psoriasis. Avoid Google or yung own research. Sometimes it can lead to anxiety, unnecessary stress to you as a parent. No? So just trust your doctor, especially your PDS dermatologist, in terms of their advice, in terms of your questions, clarifications. Don't resort, huwag kayo mag-Google or ask doon sa mga social media platforms. And I guess like Coach Joms said or mentioned earlier, there are sometimes predators, no? Mga mahilig dyan magbenta sa inyo ng supplementation. I had a lot of patients na victim na niyan, so claiming that this is a cure for psoriasis. Again, there's no cure for psoriasis, but there are treatment options to control psoriasis. And that is why we need to seek expert opinion or consultation from our dermatologists, like Philippine Dermatological Society, certified dermatologists. Yun lang naman ang aking maybe last tip for everyone in terms of their diagnosis.
Thank you so much, Doc, for that tip.
Siguro po kayo, Mami Normina naman. Parang yung advice na coming from from a parent. Kasi ang lakas ng support system ni Alexis. Kaya tignan mo, parang masaya lang. Parang, diba,
happy lang.
Up, parang yes, it is a condition, pero parang wala lang. Ganun. Siguro, Mami, any advice po? Ayan. Lalo na ngayon kasi iba yung natin ngayon, diba? Yung parang environment or yung parang buhay natin ngayon because of the pandemic. Ayan. So, ano na lang po yung advice ninyo, Ma'am?
Sa mga magulang na may may psoriasis na anak, wag po tayong masyadong malungkot. Kasi nakaya po namin na mag-asawa. Mula pa nung bata si Alexis, talagang nalungkot kami sobra. Halos araw-araw, nakikita ko yung asawa ko umiiyak. Pero ngayon po, talagang tinanggap na namin na talagang ganun na talaga may psoriasis na siya. Kaya ang ginagawa na lang po namin, talagang kailangan namin siya mapasaya. Talagang tinutulungan namin si Alexis na parang yung hindi niya maisip yung sakit niya. Yung pagkanta niya, yung mga pagdadrum and lyre niya, pagdadrums, pagsali-sali niya ng contest, sinusuportahan talaga namin. Tapos yung mga gamot niya, pampahid niya, saka yung binibihisan talaga namin siya na parang hindi siya sa ibang kunwari may event po. hindi siya ano tawag doon, ano?
Ma-isolate.
Oo.
Yes.
Kaya yung mga kaibigan niya, mga kaklase niya, pinapaliwanag ko talaga yon sa teacher, sa gwardiya, na hindi contagious yung sakit niya, hindi nakakahawa. Talagang supportahan po natin yung kung meron tayong anak na merong psoriasis, na may psoriasis, talagang kailangan po nila yon, suporta natin mga magulang.
Support and guidance.
Opo, support and guidance po. Saka talagang magdasal lang tayo. Kasi hindi talaga, ayaw talagang mawala ng psoriasis ni Alexis. Kaya po, sa ganito, tumutulong din po kami, nakikipag-participate din po kami. Mabuti po, nakilala namin si PsorPhil. 7 years old pa lang, nakilala na po namin siya. Maliit pa lang po si Alexis. Halos kada meeting, nag-a-attend po kami, hindi po kami uma-absent. Kaya
Very
po,
good.
yung pong pagsuporta natin talaga kailangan talagang hanggang sa dulo. Talagang kailangan ng suporta ng mga bata. Hanggang sa tumanda sila, hanggang sa mag-asawa sila, susuportahan talaga po natin sila.
Alright. Thank you po, Miss Normina. Nakita naman natin yung gaano kalaki yung puso ni Miss Normina at saka yung support system niya kay Alexis. How about Alexis? They have
Hindi ko po yan
advice din.
pinababayaan.
One thing about myself po na talagang napakaganda is for being a positive person po talaga. You know, it's really challenging po for me to have my psoriasis po, especially at my young age. It's like attempting like to build castle in the air. It's really hard, you know, particularly since I was first developed in my childhood. Parang there's a lot of question in my mind na what's going on with me, with my skin. You know, I always look to the mirror that why am I so really, you know, ugly? You know, I feel disgust to myself. I'm very unattractive, unpresentable, ganyan. You know, overthinking always at night, and of course, anxiety are always there with me po. But yeah, I'm really thankful to my mom, to my dad, and to all my friends because they are really, you know, welcoming to me for who I am. Kung ano man po yung nakita nila with my skin, they are happy. Alam po nila kung ano yung sakit ko, ganyan. So, I think my advice to everyone, I think to those people who have psoriasis or who are facing the consequences of having psoriasis, and to all of our viewers here tonight, just always believe in ourselves, you know, the capacity we can and all the agility we have, you know, be proud of yourself, you know, kahit meron tayong mga problema, you know, burdens in life, always put into our mind that all of us are beautiful in our own ways. No? Kaya, ang pinaka root word or main word talaga po is for being a positive, you know, to share our talent, you know, to everyone, and to maipakita sa kanila that we are loved. And always live your life to the fullest, especially with your loved ones.
So yan naman, sarap naman nun. Ayan. So
Alright.
thank you so much po. Ayan. Ang dami nating natutunan, Coach Joms.
Oo, totoo. At sa dami na natutunan natin, ganoon din kadami yung viewers natin na nagstay ngayon. A total of 1,048. Diba?
Thank you.
Yes, diba? Sa ating PsorPhil page at saka sa Wellness Weekends Philippines page natin. So, 636 sa live audience natin at 408 din sa WWP. Anyway, thank you so much, Doc Bryan,
Thank you po.
Ma'am Normina, Sir Alexis. Do you have anything po ba to promote or announce or, you know, anything that you wish to tell our public viewers pa?
I just wanted to thank you guys, especially of course the wellness and PsorPhil of course for having us because it's really opportunity and also to advocate din po to share my experience as having a psoriasis patient survivor ganun. And advocate mom. Actually, my mom is really good in baking po. So, meron po kaming
Ayan.
Yun, no?
page sa FB page mo.
Nagbe-bake po ako all occasion po.
Nice.
Isa po, yung pong A, lahat sila kasi nagsisimula sa letter A.
O,
And just
diba?
message to our page po pag gusto niyo po.
Ayan, add na po natin, follow.
Oo. Message na agad if you have upcoming celebration. Ayan. How about you, Doc? You have anything to promote po ba or announce po?
I just want to promote all our society, Philippine Dermatological Society, because of course we are of course the advocates for psoriasis, no? So every year we partner with PsorPhil, especially the PDS, our society, in terms of helping patients with psoriasis, living with psoriasis, and hopefully you will reach out to any of our members in the PDS, and hopefully we can help also with your condition. Not necessarily your psoriasis. If it's skincare to complicated conditions, we have your PDS derms to help you.
Thank you so much, Doc. That's very true, no? Ang ganda ng family support. Plus, of course, you have your doctors to help you as well and guide you. Kaya talagang magiging maayos yung yung well-being mo as a patient. Anyway, guys, meron lang tayong good news. So let me just share good news. Yung psoriasis bill natin na-file siya ulit sa Congress, di ba? Nakakatuwa.
Ayan. Diba?
Ayun.
So, madaming dasal para makamit ang ating pinaglalaban.
That's very true, Coach Peachy. And Coach
Ayan.
Peachy, next week ba, ano ba yung natin? Yung event natin for our Wellness Weekends Philippines.
Wait lang, hindi... na-lost ako. pero antabayanan nyo po yan. Definitely may announcement po siya. Ayan. Pero meron po tayong video, right? Meron po tayong ipapalabas na video about Sore Coach. Ayan, mga interested po. Ayan. Direct.
So lost, wondering what I crossed, burdened with despair, with no one left to care. Can you be hero for me? Be the one to help me see.
Ayan. Diba? So, nakita nyo po, Dash. So, if you're interested po na maging Sore Coach, ayan, kung minsan curious kayo kung bakit minsan ang tawagan namin ay coach. Ayan, so parang you'll have the opportunity po na to guide or to assist yung mga ka-sore.
And not just our fellow kabalat, as you may have noticed on that video, even the parents, lalo-lalo na pagbata, yung bata na yung taga-sama din, taga-Bulacan yan. But anyway, so guys, thank you so much. So next week, again, we have Wellness Weekends Philippines. It's every Saturday, 8 p.m. hanggang 9:30 p.m. here at WWP 2.0. So next week, we're gonna have leukemia as we celebrate the World Leukemia Awareness Month. Ayun. And Coach Peachy, of course, sino ba yung very generous na sponsor natin palagi?
Yes, and we would like to thank our sponsor, so Novartis. Ayan.
Ayan, maraming
so thank you
salamat
so
po, Novartis.
much for the support. Ayan.
And of course, for our viewers, for our social media accounts, you can always check our updates for our WWP 2.0 on our new FB page. So just simply search Wellness Weekends Philippines and our official Facebook fan page. That's Psoriasis Philippines. And don't forget to follow and share our episode tonight. Ayan.
Yes, and also check po yung ating YouTube. So simply search PsorPhil channel. Do not forget to click the subscribe button and hit the notification bell so you will be notified whenever we upload new episodes. Ayan.
Ayun. So again, my name is Coach Joms, and with me si Coach Peachy. We are your hosts tonight. And ayun, again, see you again next week in our Wellness Weekends Philippines. So your official channel for your weekly guide on health and wellness.
So may we request po ang ating broadcast team to join us on the screen. Thank you!
Ayun o, Coach TJ, Chatty.
Hi, Dr. Ais. Thank you for watching.
Thank you po.
To my friends, to Baby, to Amara who's watching right now too. Thank you. Hope you learned a lot.